Okay, we're ready. All right. Calling to order the Amani City School District Board of Education meeting for Monday, October 16th, 2023 at 5:03 p.m. We will now do roll call, starting with Ms. Cobian,
Present.
Ms. Flores,
Present.
Ms. Rivas,
Present.
and Mr. Segrist is out today, and then Mendez Garcia present. Right. We will now stand for the flag salute. Okay. Put your hand over your heart and begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Thank you for everyone for being here today. We don't have any presentations, but we're going to go straight to our communications, starting with public comment.
No public comment or written comment has come forward?
Okay. And then written communications as well.
Yes.
Yes, okay. And then next is cabinet reports.
Good evening, President Mendez and governing board members. This evening, we have a robust update for you with all of the wonderful things happening throughout the district. Beginning there with the picture of our Teacher of the Year, Mr. Jaime Reyes. Each one of us will present a comprehensive overview of what's happening across the district, and we'll kick it off with Mr. Herrera.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. So the first update, for those of you that haven't filed your taxes, they're due today, right? And so with the delay of with the impact of the winter storms, tax deadline got pushed back a couple months. So we always go into each fiscal year, the state does at least, projecting, looking to their crystal ball, what they think the tax revenues will be for the upcoming 12 months, right? Since they have a July 1st through June 30th fiscal year. But receiving taxes in April, a few months before the start of the fiscal year, is a good indicator of what they think the future will hold for those 12 months, right? So they were somewhat flying blind as they developed the budget at the state level, and that obviously impacts K-12 education funding. So the early projections we're getting from the Legislative Analyst Office, and some of this information will change over the next few weeks, is that the state tax revenues will come in about $10 billion higher than the levels forecasted when the 2023-2024 budget was signed a couple months ago. And so for every dollar that comes in tax revenues at the state level, K-12 education gets about 40 cents on the dollar. So you do some rough math, $4 billion of that will go to public schools. Given our enrollment, we get about, for every billion at the state level, we get $1 million in El Monte. So if all holds, we should get another $4 million of revenue or so. Depending on what Governor Newsom does, we'll see more information when the budget for next fiscal year is presented in January with the January proposal. We'll see if the funds get paid out in the current year. Most likely they'll hold on, take a conservative approach, and they'll use that extra money and use it for next year. So that's some good news. However, there still is a rather large budget deficit. So even with the higher revenues that are projected, assuming they materialize, there is still a rather large budget deficit for next fiscal year. And so even with the $10 billion of extra tax revenues, if they materialize, they're still looking at a $10 billion deficit for next year. But we'll get to that point when we get to that point, right? So the next few months are going to be very critical as all the dust settles up at the state level and you see all the tax revenue that comes in. Governor Newsom will present the budget in January, and we'll see what the plans are for the upcoming budget priorities for the upcoming fiscal year. An update, some positive news that we've seen. This is a bit of a different news than we've seen in many, many years, right? The decline in enrollment has been here for many years, and we've seen the an actual increase in our student enrollment. We started the year off with a decline, but the numbers have been increasing slightly. And so when we look at our enrollment as of Census Day, which is the first Wednesday of October, which happened a few weeks ago, and compare that to Census Day of last year, we actually increased in enrollment by 8 students, which is positive news because it gives us some time to plan for the future as the enrollment seems to have stabilized. We do think it's a temporary pause in our declining enrollment attributed to the expansion of TK for all 4-year-olds. We do still have rather small cohort sizes in our kinder population, but with the expansion of another grade level in TK, we're seeing that the enrollment has somewhat stabilize. The enrollment is still declining. If you look at it in the way of if TK did not expand, we would have still seen a decline, right? So, but overall, it's positive news. And so that's an important day, Census Day, because we take a snapshot and we report information up to the state that determines our LCFF funding each year. And as we look at the next area of data, our property taxes here in El Monte, here's a graphic that shows the property taxes for the current 2023-24 fiscal year, as all of the property tax bills are being mailed out to homes and they'll start showing up to property owners. This is a good snapshot for the property taxes per $100,000 of assessed value that El Monte City School District general obligation bonds are responsible for. You'll see the number was rather high a few years ago. Some of the debts have been paid off, and now the number has come down a bit. On the next graphic, what you'll see there is a breakdown across at a more global level. So we are one of 3 entities in the area, right? The high school district, Rio Hondo Community College as well, right? So when you look at voters in the El Monte City School District attendance boundary, they pay about $180 per $100,000 of assessed valuation related to general obligation bonds. We make up about half of that. The high school makes up about $70 of that $180, and Rio Hondo Community College about $20. And then you can see El Monte City School District and how that relates in relation to other surrounding districts in the area. And today on the purchase order report, there's actually a purchase order, a payment to the School Exit Liability Fund. It's as a result of Assembly Bill 218. I do want to emphasize that we don't have any current lawsuits that related to this, but this was a law that got passed a few years ago. And what it did, it expanded statute of limitations on sexual abuse and molestation claims. Now, when you join a joint powers authority, you pool your risk with other school districts in the region across the state of California. And so the good thing about that is you pool your risk, but the bad thing about that is you pool your risk with others, right? And so with the expansion of Assembly Bill 218, the actuaries didn't set aside enough funds because this was obviously not a law that was in place many, many, many years ago, right? And so there is basically no statute of limitations when it pertains to sexual abuse molestation claims. And so we were assessed, along with every other district in the state of California, an assessment back in 2021 of $125,000 as a direct result of the added liabilities related to this law. And there's another assessment of $255,000. We're paying the first half of that this school year, and next school year we'll pay the other half of that. So when you think about this law that got passed a few years ago and the impact on school districts, you can see the cost that it's having on us. So we hope there's no future assessments, but that's what we've been assessed so far. And I do want to emphasize that we do not have any claims, but we're part of a joint powers authority. And when there are claims with other districts in that joint powers authority, you pool your risk with others, and ultimately there is more liability than funds were collected. So not a bit of bad news financially, but that's the law that was passed a few years ago. And some positive news in the area of food literacy. During the month of September and October, we're promoting healthy eating habits, and we have our nutritionists there that we recently hired a few months ago. And we're doing nutrition education efforts at our schools. We're going to all the schools, setting up some tables to educate them. The theme this month was root vegetables, so they're learning about sweet potatoes and doing some taste testing there. So we're happy for the new addition to our nutrition services team and focusing on expanding our nutrition education efforts. And some good news in the area of furniture and technology. We have set aside some considerable amount of funds in this year's budget to update our furniture and technology. We'll bring back more information to the board in future meetings so you can see what these updates will look like. We plan on setting up some demo learning environments across all of our schools prior to initiating and moving forward with a broader purchase, with the end goal of making sure that all kids that walk onto our campuses for the first day of school next school year, we'll be walking into a campus that is future ready and has all of the classroom and furniture and technology updated. So we're really excited about this initiative, and we'll be setting up some demo learning spaces to get feedback from all our stakeholders. And as we look at the Cortada project, we got some good news in the past week or two. We finally got approval from DSA, Division of State Architect, There were some soil liquefaction issues that held up the process a few months, but we have the approval now, and now we're going to be moving forward with soil mitigation efforts during the month of November, doing some site work in December and January, and we hope to have the modular classrooms craned in and set sometime during February, wrapping up the work in March and April. So we'll share more updates with the board, and we'll do the ribbon cutting ceremony, hopefully in the second half of the school year, and get the kids in there enjoying that new space in no time. So we're very appreciative of all of the team that's part of the construction team that has helped us navigate the DSC approval on this. What we thought was a simple project, but it became a little bit complex with some of the soil issues that appeared.
Thank you. Good evening, President Mendez-Garcia, Governing Board, community members. It is my pleasure to provide you with an update from Educational Services. As you know, we continue to provide expanded learning opportunities for our students, and they're having a lot of fun attending these various opportunities we're providing. We have a couple of new things going on. Some of our students are able to participate in Art Time in Monrovia, which is an art studio. So students are transported over to the art studio where they are learning how to draw, how to paint, color, use different colors, coloring techniques, with the culminating activity of them actually eventually displaying here in the boardroom for all to see. Students are also attending the Sauté Academy, where they are having fun with their culinary skills. We continue to provide golf lessons at Whittier Narrows and Arcadia Part 3. And the Sauté and golf are both for 8 weeks long, so students are able to attend once a week for 8 weeks. We have mariachi starting at all 14 of our sites, which is something that initially was started at Potrero and then at Frank Wright, and now we'll be able to offer it at all 14 sites. And then musical theater recruitment has begun throughout the district. We're really excited about that. We have our early out days this week, starting with today, and teachers and their site administrators are continuing their work, focusing on our problem of practice, which is language acquisition. How do we make content accessible to all students? And so we are using improvement science to identify focus strategies that teachers will use in the classroom to make that content matter accessible for their students. In addition, we have some students some teachers who attended cognitively guided instruction professional development during our summer, and now they're coming back to participate in lab days. The great thing about these lab days, it's a small group of teachers. They're able to observe their colleagues teaching, utilizing CGI, and then coming back and debriefing and having some discourse around what they saw and learning from each other, which our teachers have told us, over and over, they love to learn from their colleagues. That's really what makes it stick. We are pleased to announce that we opened a new TK section at Rio Hondo School. As Mr. Herrera shared earlier, we did have good TK enrollment. All of our sites were full with a little bit of a waiting list. And so we hired a new teacher, Linda Wu Rodriguez, and we have our new students who joined us on October 2nd in our new TK class. And one expanded learning opportunity and also in-school opportunity for a couple of our sites is a youth cinema project. And what's great about this is it's a curriculum that guides students in producing narrative short films, but more importantly, it exposes our students to the career opportunities that are in our backyard, as Dr. Garcia likes to say, with filmmaking and script writing and other careers in television and the film industry. Just a couple of weeks ago, we were recognized by the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence and Attendance Works, two different organizations, as one of 20 districts in the state of California with chronic absenteeism that was lower than the state average. So out of 1,000 districts, we were one of 20. And they asked us to help other districts by identifying our practices that we use to increase attendance. And so we shared our strategies for engaging parents and students to improve attendance.
Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to give you a quick update in regards to personnel. As Dr. Pinedo pointed out, we were able to hire our final TK teacher, so Ms. Wu Rodriguez is a wonderful addition to our staff. With that, we are still fully staffed in regards to our certificated, and we continue to onboard our classified vacancies to ensure that we're fully staffed in those areas. But one of the things we've been talking about for a few years is the future of El Monte City School District. And so we're pleased to share that we're embarking on an Aspiring Administrators Academy. And so the whole idea behind this is to provide opportunities for any of our employees that might have an interest in becoming a future school administrator or site administrator, or maybe even a future leader within the district, and providing them learning opportunities focused and geared around El Monte City School District. And so the idea of growing from from within to ensure that we have a great pipeline of future administrators as we go forward. And so some of the areas that we're going to be looking at a series of 4 key pillars: instructional leadership, organizational structures, positive human and cultural environments, and then finally support systems. And so the thought behind it is that at each session we'll have sort of almost like the idea of that speed dating game, but in sort of speed learning. And so we'll have different presenters and the groups will rotate through. So under instructional leadership, we might have instructional services talking about the idea of what to look for during class walkthroughs, how to provide informed feedback. We could have some of our TOSAs presenting on instructional strategies and so on. Organizational structures could be our fiscal services doing budget workshops, facilities talking about how to ensure that your facilities are in good working order and so on. Positive human and cultural environments from human resources, and even with Dr. Garcia coming in and just laying the foundation for the culture of our district to make sure that we continue on this positive track. And then support systems, we're actually going to work on resume building with people that have the interest in becoming an administrator, and actually do mock interviews as well. And so providing that support, because we know that that interview process sometimes is the most difficult part for a lot of our people. So providing them that resource as well, we think will be beneficial.
Thank you, Mr. Sollenbach. I'm going to kick off my update with just some terrific news. We should have gotten a drum roll going there, Mr. Dasmati, but yeah. We were awarded a Golden Bell for our TK and Kinder Readiness Academy. Yay! For those of you that don't know, CSBA, California School Board Association, grants Golden Bells. They're coveted awards recognizing just bright spot programs throughout the state. And so this is our second Golden Bell that we receive as a district. And I couldn't think of a better program in this moment in time. Our TK and Readiness Academy has gotten a lot of attention. It's this idea of really onboarding kids and families onto the school system before they even set foot on the campus. They build community with one another, both kids and the parents and guardians, and then they're ready to go. And so it's an extraordinary program that we are happy to share with the state of California as a wonderful program that should be replicated throughout for all kids. So when we have the opportunity to be at CSBA in December, we'll have the opportunity to receive this award, and we'll bring it back to the district. And there's a terrific team behind this academy under the leadership of Jessica Pardini, Christina Davila, and just, our TOSAs, principals, teachers that made it happen. So we're going to bring them all here, and we're going to have a little party and celebrate the wonderful team that created and executed the TK Readiness Academy program. We're going to continue. We're already thinking about next year, so more to come. We just finished up with a Walk to School Day. This is an event that we would host annually before the pandemic with the idea of encouraging families to walk to school. As you know, our schools were built at a time where we didn't have as many automobiles and traffic, and so many times it's really difficult to navigate those pickups and drop-offs, especially this week during PD days. And so there's this the importance of creating safe pathways for families to walk, to build community, to understand who lives around them, how they can walk together to school, and then also the opportunity to learn how to identify areas that need a little bit more attention and be able to communicate those with the city. And so we were happy to bring this back. I just want to acknowledge our partners. Active SGV helped us to coordinate Walk to School Day, and all of our community liaisons were out there. Our parents participated. At a few of our school sites, we didn't actually walk to school because of the different bus routes, but we wanted to give them the opportunity to also have that wellness and get some steps in before the start of the school day. So they did a walking path around the school. And from my understanding, it's going to continue. We're going to encourage families to just continue walking to school or to get some steps in before coming to school. The day is almost here. On Tuesday, October 24th, from 8:30 to 11:30, we have 3 board members that are going to be joining us from LACO, as well as some staff members. And so if the board would like to be a part of this day, please let us know. We are going to be transporting the entourage of LACO board members as well as the key staff members to different places throughout the district to highlight the best of El Monte City School District. I mean, ideally, we should take them through to all 14 sites, plus our central kitchen, plus our family center, every classroom, but we would need a lot of time in order to do so, and so we're going to make some pit stops at specific sites. We're going to ask people to join the bus so that even between stops, we can tell them, continue sharing with them all the wonderful things happening in the district. And so if the board would like to participate, please let us know. We're finalizing that agenda in the coming days, and we're happy to share that. And we'll be letting our school community know that we have LACO visitors that are going to be joining us to see what El Monte City School District is doing that's making the district such a bright spot in the county. I had the privilege and pleasure of hosting the first meetings for both the Student Advisory Committee and the Staff Advisory Committee. And I can tell you that I'm very energized by the conversation that took place at both of those meetings and really enthusiastic about the work that lies ahead. After the Student Advisory meeting, the to-do list was long. But I have to tell you, the kids are so opinionated, but they're like spot on. They just don't talk about the problems. They share solutions and they build on each other's solutions. And so the agenda for both meetings was very simple. It was the idea of let's reconnect. Let's talk about the first 10 days of school. How did that impact you? What are some best practices that we would like to carry forward for future starts of the school year? And then what are some topics that you would like to explore during the year? And so the goal for the students is for them to look at some resolutions, to give input on that. And I'd like to give them an opportunity to come and present to the board sometime in the spring so they can also have that experience. But happy to share more information as these meetings take place. It's just wonderful to connect with individuals that see the value in the district as well as, see some opportunities for growth and want to build on the foundations that have been laid here at the district. And so I think there's going to be a lot of value added in the coming meetings, and it could move us in very different directions, but very grateful for the input that we're going to have from both of these advisory groups. This is something that we're really excited about. Our CALS meetings are back. CALS is an acronym for Collaborative Administrators Leadership Series. Many years ago, the 5 local districts, we all feed into the high school district, so there's 4 elementary and 1 high school district. We would gather to discuss topics and do a lot of vertical articulation throughout. It was an opportunity for us to grow and to learn from one another. Because of the pandemic, and even right before the pandemic, there was some transitions happening in the different districts, and so the meetings slowed down a bit. And so I'm happy to report that we're bringing these meetings back. Our first meeting will take place this Friday, and this will give our administrators the opportunity to connect, to create those vertical articulations, to make sure that they have opportunity to visit each other's campuses, to give teachers and staff the opportunity also to connect. At this first meeting, we're going to talk about the overarching focus for our CALS meetings this year will be math. We all want to improve math scores, and we all believe that together we can calibrate, some sort an educational plan for our region that can lead to higher test scores in math as well as achievement. And then we're also going to give the administrators an opportunity to share topics so that we can either curate some smaller groups based on interest or continue conversations at large across the 5 districts. So excited to bring these meetings back and looking forward to the collaboration that will take place as a result. Another really wonderful news to share, Longo Toyota, which is the premier Longo dealership in the country. They sell more cars than any other Toyota, not Longo, Toyota dealership in the country. And so they were gifted GR Corolla 2023 Moriso Badge 1 car. I had to do a lot of learning. A Badge 1 is the first car made in that series. And Moriso is a special car because, as you can see, it has a little bit of personality there, and it's a coveted. They're only going to make a certain number of those cars. So not only is it the first car, it's a limited series car. Longo Toyota received it from the Toyota Corporation because of their high volume of sales. So Longo turned around and said, we're going to auction this car, and we're going to give 50% of the proceeds to Vision to Learn, so they can continue supporting students in the El Monte community with eyewear and exams and the glasses. And they've been just a wonderful partner that we've been able to work well together with, as well as the other 50% will be split between El Monte Union and El Monte City. And so we're excited about this. The auction goes live on October the 18th. It'll close on October the 24th. They're really excited. They think that it's going to have get a lot of interest, a lot of eyes on this car, and we'll see where it lands in terms of at the auction, how it ends. We're hoping to use the proceeds to create maker spaces at some of our schools, beginning with Potrero School. That would be our first destination for a maker space. So looking forward to October 24th when we know how the auction comes in, and then we can start planning. But I'm very grateful to our partnership with Longo Toyota for considering the district. Community events, dates to keep on the calendar. Rio Hondo is hosting their annual astronomy night. That'll be October 20th at 6 p.m., a wonderful family event. Children's Day Parade coming up on Saturday, October the 28th. And then Dia de los Muertos is a community event that Durfee will be hosting that will be open to the entire community, and that'll take place November 2nd, beginning at 4 p.m. And that concludes our update this evening.
I'm putting dates in my calendar. Okay. Okay, I'm done. All right. Hey, thank you so much, Dr. Garcia and Cabinet, for that presentation. It's so great that we're able to we moved it to the beginning, right? So as we have community members, are also able to hear the great things that are happening in the district alongside us. Next, we're going to be moving on to our board member communications, starting with Ms. Cobian.
Thank you, and I just wanted to say, again, great presentation, and I'm definitely looking forward to all of the events coming up. Walk to School Day was great to see everyone out again, and definitely looking forward to Astronomy Night. Also, just wanted to share, I've gotten some really positive feedback on some of the after-school programs. Just hearing from some families whose kids may not have been able to take advantage of extracurriculars, that were private sources for varying reasons, and that the schools are offering them some really neat opportunities because it's right after the school day and all the other support that's given along with that. So just really still getting really positive feedback on that. I also wanted to share the El Monte Promise Foundation will be hosting the annual Tamalada coming up on December 7th, so not too far away. I think the nomination forms either has gone out or will go out for the Bobby Salcedo Esperanza Award. I know we have a former honoree in the audience tonight, so we're very excited to just share that looking for great educators, and that can take any form. So I'm really hoping to get some great recognitions for that. And then also just wanted to share an update related to the CalKids program. I know our district is going to be working on doing some registration drives for our students. This is a program where students can have anywhere from $500 to $1,500 set aside for them for college. And approximately 90% of El Monte students will qualify. And we just want to make sure that families know about the program and are able to take advantage of it. So I'm very excited for that opportunity as well. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. First off, I want to say congratulations on receiving the Golden Bell Award. Second, I want to give a shout out and a big thank you. I know this past week was Week of the School Administrators. I want to shout out them and give them a big thank you for all the work that they do. I know there's some school site opportunities coming up. I've emailed Edna, and I'm really looking forward to that. So, thank you.
Ms. Rivas?
Yeah, I had the great privilege of attending the Teacher of the Year awards ceremony through LACO, where Jaime Reyes was honored. We saw the picture of him earlier this evening. And then from our neighboring high school district, Kathy Flores was honored as well. Wonderful to see so many teachers recognized and really representing the great work that happens across LACO, and of course, especially in EMCSD.
Thank you. Tonight, I just want to give a few advocacy updates. We received the email today, but just wanted to share with the rest of the board members who haven't had an opportunity to read it, and our cabinet community members. There were 5 CSBA, so the California School Board Association sponsored bills that Governor Newsom signed the other day. I think it was October 13th. So some of them that were approved, that, like I said, that he signed, that were being supported through advocacy, involving one of them, Assembly Bill, for example, 1023, which is increases cybersecurity support for school districts by requiring the California Cybersecurity Integration Center to include a representative from the California Department of Education. So one of the things we touched upon at CSBA last year was the fact that, our school districts are very vulnerable to cyber attacks as they're becoming more and more advanced. So I'm glad that that is something that has been passed. Other ones included providing immediate relief during teacher shortages by decreasing the wait time before we could rehire a retired teacher. Other ones involving helping county boards appoint student members and extending the opportunity for board members to meet remotely during states of emergencies. And then the last thing I just wanted to share, I already know we touched upon the community event of Children's Day Parade, but the Downtown El Monte Business Association is going to be hosting a Dia de los Muertos event on Saturday, October 21st, and it's an all-day event. They have something starting during the day around 11 a.m., and then they're going to have an evening event, kind of like a concert. So kind of just want to provide advertisement with that and share that with the community. Okay, at this point, we're going to go into closed session. So we have 2 items, starting with item 1, closed session for student discipline, Education Code 48900A2 and 48915A1A on student expulsion. And then we have item 2, closed session items pursuant to Government Code 45957.6, conference with labor negotiators. And we'll be back. City School District Board of Education meeting at 6:05 p.m. During closed session for item 1, during closed session, the board voted 4-0 to approve the expulsion agreement for case SE 002.2 for the 2023-2024 school year. For item 2 on conference with labor negotiators, no action was taken. Moving on to the approval of minutes. For item 1, we have consideration of approval of minutes for September 11th, 2023. Is there a motion for item 1?
I'll move to approve.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Flores. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Next, we have item G, reports. Item 1, for the 2023-2024 school year, Williams Uniform Complete Policy Quarter 1 Summary Report.
Good evening, President Mendez-Garcia, Governing Board. 4 times a year, school districts are required to not only share with their Board of Education, but then also submit to Los Angeles County Office of Education their quarterly report regarding Williams complaints. And these areas for Williams complaints are based on instructional materials, facilities, and then credentialing for your certificated staff. For the first quarter, which is July 1 through September 30th, I'm pleased to share that we had 0 complaints filed.
Thank you. Next, moving on, we have our action and consent agenda. At this time, are there any items board members would like to pull separately? Okay. Then is there a motion for the action and consent agenda?
I so move.
Okay, motion by Ms. Rivas. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Cobian. Are there any questions or discussion?
I just wanted to say I really appreciated the detail of the school safety plans and all of the different considerations and how it was laid out to make sure our staff and our students are safe for all sorts of different occurrences that might happen.
And also just another comment. I'm glad to see, as we're looking at presentation, how we continue to expand our extended opportunities program. I'm glad to see that we're really also making sure that we're providing the support that's needed to supervise that, right? Because a lot of these things are after school. So we want to make sure that we're providing supervision and that we're making sure that we're facilitating all of these different, because these is contracts with different outside organizations. So I do recognize the need for that. All right, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Now moving on to our action section. For item 1, we have consideration of approval to adopt resolution for the 23-24 school year, number 7, celebration of Native American Heritage Month, November 2023.
Thank you. Good evening. President Mendez-Garcia, Governing Board, before you for your consideration this evening is Resolution 23-24-7, Celebration of Native American Heritage Month. The purpose of this school board resolution is to recognize and celebrate the rich cultural and historical contributions of Native Americans to our society. This resolution aims to promote awareness and appreciation of Native American heritage, history, and traditions among students, educators, and the wider community. This resolution acknowledges the importance of respecting and preserving Native American cultures and fostering a sense of unity and understanding between Native and non-Native communities.
Okay. Is there a motion for item 1 on Native American Heritage Month?
I'll move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Cobian. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Flores. Are there any questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Next, item 2, consideration of approval to adopt resolution for the 23-24 school year, number 8, celebration of Veterans Day on November 11th.
For your consideration, Resolution 23-24-8, Celebration of Veterans Day. The purpose of this resolution is to celebrate Veterans Day is to honor and express gratitude to the men and women who have served in the armed forces of the United States. This resolution acknowledges the sacrifices, dedication, and bravery of veterans in defending our nation and upholding its values. It serves to instill in students a profound appreciation for the contribution of veterans and the importance of service to one's country. Furthermore, this resolution emphasizes the importance of fostering a sense of patriotism and unity.
Thank you. Is there a motion for item 2 on Veterans Day?
I'll move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Flores. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivas. Are there any questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Next, we have item 3, consideration of approval of purchase orders.
Thank you. Before you is a September purchase order report. There's 296 purchase orders listed, totaling $3.1 million. Some of the larger purchase orders are the ones of note to highlight. $2.1 million to the Merged Joint Powers Authority, which we're a part of. That covers our workers' compensation insurance premiums for the current fiscal year. As a reminder, it's tied to our payroll. So as our payroll increases year over year, we contribute 2% of our total payroll costs into the workers' compensation fund. Some other items to highlight: $425,000 to teacher created materials for math and language arts instructional materials. We have $56,000 to Sweetwater Sound. That's for the purchase of instruments for our mariachi program through our Expanded Learning Opportunity Program, and $32,000 to Renaissance Learning for the continued expansion of our accelerated reader school software licenses.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion for item 3 on our purchase orders?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by Ms. Cobian. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Flores. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. And then next we have consideration of approval of annual and 5-year developer fee report resolution for the 23-24 school year, number 9.
Thank you. This report is required under government code annually, and every 5 years you have to bring in accounting before the Board of Education. So we just bring it together. So we're never out of compliance. Back in 2015, there was a city of San Clemente that was found to be out of compliance, and they had to refund $10 million back to developers for not being in compliance. So before you is the report. A lot of the information we see at our unaudited actuals when we see the information. This report gives a little bit more details specific to our developer fees, which we deposit into a separate fund. That would be our Fund 25. We bring in, it varies from year to year, but it's about $500,000 a year of developer fees. The fee is $3.36 for residential and 54 cents per square foot for commercial and industrial property that's developed. The high school district collects the funds, and we get a percentage of that sent to the elementary district, and they keep a percentage. So in the fund, we currently have $3.2 million, and as we're looking at future projects through our facility master plan, we'll see how we can leverage these funds to move forward with future facility improvement funds projects.
Thank you. Is there a motion for item 4?
Also move.
Okay, motion by Ms. Cobian. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivas. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Now we have policy updates. So this will be the first reading of updating our policies. As we know, anytime there are new updates with state, federal, or local law, we always want to make sure that our board policies are aligned with those. Okay. So starting with item 1, we have consideration of approval of first reading of revised board policy 4112.2 and administrative regulation 4112.2 on certification. I move for item 1. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Ms. Rivas. Are there any questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Next is item 2, consideration of approval of first reading of revised exhibit 4112.9, 4312.9 on employee notifications. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Ms. Cobian. Are there any questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Item 3, consideration of approval of first reading of revised board policy 4140, 4240, 4340 on bargaining units. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Flores. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Next, item 4, we have consideration of approval of first reading of revised administrative regulation 4161.1, 4261.1, 4361.1 on personal illness, injury, and leave. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivas. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Next, we have consideration, number 5, consideration of approval of first reading of revised administrative regulation 4161.2, 4261.2, and 4361.2 on personal leaves. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Cobian. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Number 6, Consideration of approval of first reading of revised administrative regulation 4168.8, 4268.8, 4368.8 on family care and medical leave. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Flores. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Item 7, consideration of approval of first reading of revised board policy 5117 on inter-district attendance. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivas. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Item 8, consideration of approval of first reading of revised board policy 5141.5 on mental health. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Cobian. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Consideration of approval of first reading revised board policy 5141.6 and administrative regulation 5141.6 on school health services. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Flores. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 5-0, 4-0. Item 10, consideration of approval of first reading and revised board policy 5145.6 and exhibit 5145.6 on parent guardian notifications. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivas. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Consideration of approval of first reading of revised board policy 6159.2 on non-public, non-secretarian school and agency services for special education. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Cobian. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Number 12, consideration of approval of first reading of revised board policy 6174 and administrative regulation 6174 on education for English learners. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Flores. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. And number 13, consideration of approval of first reading revised board bylaw 9322 on agenda and meeting materials. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivas. Any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. All right. Okay, we're almost there. Next is our discussion session. We have item 1, governance calendar, but I would like to recommend to the board that we wait for next meeting so that Mr. Seekers can join us while we review our updates. Yes, okay.
Yes.
Everyone's in agreement. And then item 2, any future discussion items board members would like to add to a future agenda item that you would like me to consider. Okay. If not, you always have an opportunity to email me as well during sessions. All right. So that concludes today's meeting. I think this is the earliest we've. All right. Thank you to our community members and our audience for being with us on this journey today. All right. So then I will adjourn tonight's meeting at 6:20 p.m.